$500,000 is what I've invested into myself over the last 5 years. $30 million is the net worth I created as a result of that $500,000 investment into myself. Negative $1 million was my net worth in July of 2019. I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years. I'm 41 years old. I've raised millions of dollars for companies. I've scaled multiple businesses. I've done over $400 million in businesses that I directly founded and was the CEO of. My last business went from 0 to 30 million in 4 years. And in July of 2019, the US government came knocking on my door. They delivered a paper that said the United States of America versus my name first, Nicholas Joseph Long, versus my wife's name, Nicole Joy Long, versus Media Mix 365. I don't think I have to tell you guys that the government can do whatever they want to do whenever they want to do it for whatever reason they want to do it for. I put my blood, sweat, and tears into this company. It started with my wife and I in a 2-bedroom apartment with 2 cell phones, a mountain of debt, and a big-ass fucking why. Why? We wanted to start a family. We wanted to be together for the rest of our lives. We wanted to bring children into this world and give them life that we never had growing up. I don't come from a lineage of entrepreneurs. Like my grandfather, my father, my uncle, was you started a company, you work your ass off, and someday, when you turn 60, you'll be running that company and you'll retire. And so I did that. And literally, like, it was like a bunch of zombies walking around like, fuck this. And I've had multitudes of success. I've been financially free and emotionally bankrupt. There's no greater definition in my mind of being financially free and emotionally bankrupt. And so that guy that you saw, the 2015 version of me, that guy was successful by all stretch of the imagination. Married, had a daughter, had a son on the way. Business had scaled from 300,000 to 3 million, on our way to 7 million. And I was fucking miserable. I'm like, here I go again. But now I've got a lot more to lose. I've got a wife. I've got a baby girl. I got a son. How the fuck am I going to raise this boy to be a man when I'm not even one? And so I sat in a room very similar to this 5 years ago, and I decided that I was the asset, not the business. And I continued to double down and double down and double down on myself year after year after year after year. I had the power of association with other entrepreneurs who were like-minded, who were vulnerable, who held me accountable to the things I said I was going to do. And then all of a sudden, boom! Out of nowhere, it was all taken from me. Or so I thought. And I literally abandoned the very principles that helped me create the $30 million net worth in the first place. I had a podcast, I had a coaching program, I was leading from the front, and I took my head and I jammed it straight up my ass. And I was in like a really, really dark place. I didn't know what to do. Like, because they actually like completely banned me from the industry I made all my money in. I'll get more into the story, but the FTC was challenging the validity of our opt-in data and our marketing practices. We were selling solar, for Christ's sakes. It's not like we were ripping off little old grandmas with some high-interest credit cards. We're responsible for 100,000 solar installations throughout the United States. Joe Biden will thank me later. And I had a conversation with a mentor, with a friend. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck to do. And he's 10 years older than me, and he said, Nick, I'm going to tell you something. I was turning 40 years old. And I was like, what? How am I starting over at 40 years old? I got a 4-year-old, I got a 5-year-old. Like, me and my wife had created this amazing life, a life that brought us to Switzerland, where we were invited to do this vintage car rally with these billionaires and millionaires, and it was fucking picturesque. And I turned down $30 million for my business. I stood on stage at WarriorCon 3, just having said, no, I'm not selling my business. I'm going to take this to $50 million. And I'm going to take that $50 million and I'm going to invest into entrepreneurs. I'm going to teach them the very principles that helped me create that wealth in the first place. To literally having conversations with my wife, crying at the kitchen room table, contemplating moving into my mother's double wide trailer in Chino fucking California with my 2 children. Like gone. All my assets gone. Or so I thought. And so I had a conversation with this mentor of mine. And he went through the same thing when he turned 40. And he said, Nick, I'm going to tell you something. Hopefully I'm going to save you a lot of pain and heartache, because it took me 2 fucking years to bounce back when I hit bottom. It took me 2 years to bounce back. He's a religious guy. So, of course, like, he turned to the church, he turned to the pastor. That was his mentor. Calls the pastor over to his house, and he's like, I lost the country club, I lost this house, I'm $1 million in debt. I mean, he was going down the lineage of all the stuff that happened to him. And he went on and on, tears streaming down his face, wife's in there, Bible on the table. And the pastor started laughing. The pastor started laughing. He's like, what are you doing? Why are you laughing in a moment like this? He said, well, I thought you said you had some real problems. I thought you called me over here for some crazy crisis. He's like, are you not listening, dude? I just went through like this whole lineage of stuff that's happened to me. He's like, you're just not looking at it the right way. He's like, let me ask you a question. Can they take your wife? And he said, no. He said, can they take your kids? He said, no. He said, can they take your salvation? Obviously, he's a religious guy. He said, no. He said, can they take the man and the mindset that created it all in the first place? And he said, no. He said, then why the fuck are you letting? He probably didn't say fuck, but I'd just like to throw that in. It'd be pretty cool if your pastor said fuck every now and again. He said, why the fuck are you going to let them do that? They can't take that from you. And he asked me the same question, Nick, why are you letting them take that from you? And I snapped out of it. I was like, you're fucking right. You're fucking right. I'm smarter today than I was 6 years ago when I started this thing. I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into myself, into my mindset, into these principles that fucking worked. How do I know? Because I went from 0 to 30 million doing them. I could do this all over again. And so here we are. It's not even been a year. It's not even been a year. And I'm not back to that $30 million net worth, but I can tell you this. I am on my way and I will blow fucking past it. And I've already created a multiple 7-figure net worth in 1 fucking year. Because that's what happens when you realize that you are the greatest asset. You are your business. Your business is merely a giant ass mirror of who you've become, how you think, how you operate, your daily disciplines and habits. And they can't fucking take that from you. Ever. Ever. Only you can take that from you. And so everything that I wanted, I have. I'm investing into entrepreneurs. And their business is just the gateway through them. Because the more I invest into that entrepreneur, the more I can hedge my bet. Businesses fail for one of 2 reasons. They're poorly run, or they're undercapitalized, or a combination of both. And most of the time, they're undercapitalized because they're poorly run. And you just look at the entrepreneur, and you can see why that's the case. And so I sat in a room just like this, many a time in that 5-year stint, quarter after fucking quarter after quarter, taking a brutal inventory of me and understanding that I was the number 1 problem in my life. And therefore, I was the only solution. And the more I got radically crystal clear about that, the faster my life went. And because I had these foundations, these assets that I invested into myself, I've been able to collapse time and speed it up and accomplish what most would take 10 years in 1 year. And so this event tonight can be, and tomorrow and the next day, can be one of two things. It could be information. You can come here, you can walk out with the shirt and the journal and all this kind of stuff, and that was great. That guided meditation was good. I feel good, and go right back to the same existence you had before you stepped in this door. Or it could be transformation. Literally, this could be the hinge point of your life where everything comes together in one singular moment. That's what you saw in that video in 2015. There was a man that had a message. This man had gone through a lot of the hardships that I just spoke of and was tired of living in this place of fucking pain. And he went inside. He didn't go looking outside. He went looking on the inside and asked himself, who must I become in order to leave this place and come to the place that I've always dreamed of in my mind? And this man started opening his mouth. And that message landed right here on my heart and my soul, and I grabbed onto it, and I've never, ever let go. And I met amazing entrepreneurs, brothers along the way that held me accountable. One of them is in this room tonight. That when I fucked up, literally, the man that's in this room came to my house, fucking smacked me across the face, army carried me out of my house. I said, what the fuck are you doing? That is what true brotherhood looks like. And so tonight's a surreal moment for me. It's an extremely surreal moment for me. Because you're going to hear from that very man. You're going to hear from the man that literally gave me the blueprint to change my life. I used to say he changed my life, but that was bullshit. All he did was lay down the tools at my feet. I changed my life. I decided to pick up that axe and chop that wood every single fucking day. This man has worked with over 50,000 entrepreneurs. The enterprise value that this man has created is in the billions. In the billions. To work with him one-on-one in a business capacity, it's $250,000 a year. If you want to be a part of his tight-knit business group, it is $120,000 a year. Most of that $500,000 that I just spoke about that I've invested has been into this man and into this man's program. Everything that he offered, I grabbed a hold of. And every time I did and every time I went all in, it always fucking worked. What you saw up there, Worry Week 22, was in September of 2015. I'll never forget it. We were doing this nighttime evolution. They got us fed, they got us warm, and they're kicking our ass. I mean, the only way I can describe Warrior Week is it's like Tony Robbins, Navy SEALs, Fight Club, and the Dalai Lama all got together and like, you guys want to do this? And they're like, fuck yeah, all right. And it pushes you. It pushes you to go on the inside. And so they got us all warm. We thought like the night was over. The night was just beginning. We were at the Surf and Sand in Laguna Beach, and they took us out, and they put us way out in the water, like at midnight. It's dark as fuck. The only thing we had was a little glow stick. And we were all locked arm in arms, and when we come in, and the surf was pounding on us for, it seemed like forever. And then he said, all right, you're going to army crawl, and you're going to army crawl to me. And it looked like he was 10 miles down the beach, and we're army crawling with our life vests on. And I was like, fuck this. I know this is almost over. It's been too long. We got to go to bed at some point. Like, I'm just going to army crawl my ass to him as fast as I can. As fast as I can. And when I get there, I'll be done. I'll be done. It'll be over. So I did, and I was one of the first. And as I got to him, he took a giant step back, and I went again, and a giant step back again, and again, and again, until his boot went firmly onto my neck. And he leaned over and he said, when the fuck are you going to stop looking for the finish line, Nick? There is no finish line, people. Life is about eternal expansion. Your business will only be the shadow that you cast as big as you grow. So today, tomorrow, and the next day, you're going to learn one thing. You're going to learn this principle that we've adopted here at the Multiple Club. IV equals EV. EV stands for enterprise value, what your business is worth. And it's a simple equation. It's your EBITDA times your valuation multiple. That's the easy part. The hard part is the IV, interpersonal value. The value that you place on the greatest asset you have in your business, which is you, the human life capital. And it's literally like a fucking IV that you put into your arm every single day that you must choose. This daily dose of vitamin U, radical honesty about where you're at and how everything, your physical body, your overall being and presence, your balance, aka your relationships, are the things that drive the value of your business.